2 days ago, and exactly 2 years ago, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu set out his mission that is hinged on renewed hope mantra, with 8 priority areas that is expected to drive sustainable growth and enhance the quality of life for all Nigerians. Now, these priorities are broken down into key sectors: reforming the economy, strengthen national security, boost agriculture for food security, unlock energy and natural resources, enhance infrastructure, reposition education, health and social investment, accelerate diversification through industrialization, digitization and innovation for improved governance. 2 years on, while it is still work in progress, stakeholders are calling for a holistic approach for sustainable growth by tracking progress made so far and leveraging on the nation's collective strength to transform these priorities into tangible realities for a prosperous nation. As the administration marks its milestones, questions emerge. How have these reforms transformed the nation so far under the Tinubu administration, and how are the challenges being tracked? On Weekend File tonight, we'll review 2 years of Tinubu administration, progress, prospects and challenges. Our guest is Professor Abiodun Adeniyi. He's a professor of communication from Bayes University, Abuja. We'll bring you situation reports from across the country for sure. Thank you for joining us on Weekend File. I'm Ruth Aguena. First, let's begin with the news. President Bola Tinubu says his administration is now positioned to continue to reward Nigerians with social, economic and infrastructural development after the period of hardship they have persevered at the initial stage of his mandate. President Tinubu gave the assurance in Lagos State at the inauguration of the Phase 1, Section 1 of Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway and other completed roads and bridge projects across the country. State House correspondent Musbahu Damwahab reports.
The journey of 750 kilometers are started with the first step of 30 kilometers completed. This is the Phase 1, Section 1 of the stretch. Day or night, the 6-lane Lagos-Calabar Coastal Road at this distance is now open to road users along the bank of the Atlantic Ocean. It is a proud project of a renewed hope agenda, and the man who tamed the Atlantic in Nigeria continues his daring along the coastline.
To God be all the glory.
One of the 4 legacy road projects is becoming a reality. The hitherto unthinkable is happening, and leaders from public and private sectors were present, proudly associating with the beginning of a new corridor for opportunities. And President Bola Tinubu says this is just the beginning of series of infrastructural developments coming under his watch to lift the social and economic sectors.
You'll be part of the benefit. The economy is recovering. There's light at the end of the tunnel now. Inflation is stepping down.
And for the continuation of the Coastal Highway and other projects, President Tinubu has a message for developers.
Let me at this stage warn all developers. The federal government will enforce the setback. If not for anything, it's for the interest of our nation. Development without approval will not be compensated. We have gazetted and published the setback. We are going to enforce it rigidly.
I want to state that we did no harm to landmark, properties. In fact, as you are going, sir, you will see where this dual carriageway divided into 2. Is by your order that we should save as much infrastructure as possible, even though they violated the gazetted route.
The president also inaugurated over 9 projects across the country, including rehabilitation of the Enugu-Port Harcourt Expressway, Section 3, dualization of the East-West Road, Section 2, and rehabilitation, construction, and expansion works on Lagos-Ibadan Dual Carriageway, Phase 1.
These are all projects that have the potential to unlock the economic opportunities of their nation.
He equally flagged off 3 new projects of Ibadan, Ife, Ilesha, Akure Bini Road, Nembe Brass Section 2 Road in Bayelsa, and a section of the Enugu-Onitsha Carriageway.
I can confirm once again that with this commissioning today, you have proven to us that whenever the National Assembly says we are doing well, we are always right. So congratulations, Mr. President. People may be asking, why are you commissioning the first 30 kilometers? I think we are doing this to bring to the fore that yes, indeed, the project is a reality because it's divided into about 6 sections.
The actualization of the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway continues in sections. Right now, construction has commenced from the other end of the highway in Calabar. Those are the Section 3A and 3B. More sections are expected to be completed by December this year. In Lagos, Musbah and Wahab, NTA News.
Well, the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway has the potential for industrial growth, both in trade and tourism development. It signifies a new vision that can boost Nigeria's socio-economic goals. Larry Belay takes a look at the economic potential of the coastal highway that will create more access and link 9 states.
It is a 750 kilometers reinforced concrete pavement road that connects 9 states: Lagos, Ogun, Ondo, Edo, Delta, Rivers, Bayelsa, Akwa Ibom, and Cross River State. A slingshot road project that targets and unlocks various economic potential at once, from massive employment opportunities, industrial revolution, tourism, and new vista in the nation's maritime sector.
It is not just a road. It is projected to contribute up to $12 billion annually to Nigerian GDP in its first decade by connecting 9 coastal states, linking major ports, and unlocking key trade routes. This highway will drive growth both in agriculture, in industry, in tourism, and marine commerce. It will lower transportation costs, reduce travel time, and ease the movement of goods and services.
So one of the economic potentials for this coastal road is that the 9 states that it passes through is going to give manufacturers, small-scale businessmen, and farmers, most especially, the access to urban centers like Lagos. And not only the urban centers like Lagos, to the ports at the coastal area for exports of their products.
Imagine the impact this road will have on the 17 states of the southern Nigeria. It means that you can live in Ogun, work in Lagos, live in Ondo, work in Lagos, live in Edo, work in Lagos, live in Delta, and work in Lagos, because all these places will be just an hour and a half away from Lagos.
With the need to diversify the economy and the federal government eyeing the $1 trillion economy, this road is going to be a hub, a center that will boost those goals socio-economically. In Lagos, Larry Belay, NTA News.
Now, not just the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway, the federal government has also reaffirmed its commitment to the timely completion of the Akure-Ado-Ekiti, a critical link between Ondo and Ekiti states. During an inspection of the project, Minister of Works David Umahi assured motorists that 1 lane of the dual carriageway will be completed and inaugurated by December this year. Abiola Rio will tell us more.
The ongoing reconstruction and dualization of the multi-billion naira Ado-Ekiti Kere-Ita-Ogbolu-Akure Road, linking Ekiti and Ondo states, is a key component of the infrastructural renewal drive of President Bola Tinubu's administration. The project is aimed at improving road connectivity, reducing travel time, and enhancing socio-economic development across the region. Minister of Works David Umahi, represented, assured that the project is progressing in line with approved specifications, while reaffirming federal government's commitment to delivering a high-quality road network that will ease movement and support economic growth.
Our target is that by December this year, we want to trust God to get Mr. President to commission the first lane so that somebody can drive through, and we are working very hard to ensure the second lane is commissioned by December next year.
As contractors work to meet the December 2025 deadline for the completion of at least one lane, expectations remain high among road users who look forward to a durable road and timely delivery. In Akure, Abiola Ario, NTA News.
In other news, concerted efforts by the Benue state government in ensuring food security, improving health and infrastructural development will place the state as a viable hub for economic development in Nigeria. This is the assertion of media professionals who commended the ongoing projects of Governor Aliya's administration in Benue State. Moses Ajawu Ode reports.
Democratic governance has been void of incursion since May 29, 1999, when Chief Olusegun Obasanjo was sworn in as President of Nigeria. It is in commemoration of this uninterrupted democracy that Benue's sons and daughters converged on IBB Square, Makurdi. They described the early administration as unprecedented.
Your Excellency, your administration has made a commendable stride in fostering peace and security within our border.
So many changes have been made, and more are being made for the benefit of our people.
Elders, women, and youths also echo their voices in eulogizing the governor.
We are taking bold steps towards restoring safety of lives and property, as well as maintenance of law and order.
He re-emphasized his administration's commitment to youth empowerment, ensuring food security, industrial development, and initiation of more programs and projects in Makurdi. Charles Abba, NTA News.
All right, let's take a break. We'll be back shortly. Thank you for staying tuned. President Bola Tinubu has activated all relevant agencies to provide succor to the flood victims in Mokwa local government area of Niger State. The Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, who led the federal government delegation to pay a condolence visit to Niger State government in Mina, says the president also directed the National Orientation Agency to commence immediate sensitization of the people. Salihu Abdullahi Gwanara reports.
In the last decade, Nigeria has grappled with different magnitude of floods, leading to the loss of lives and property. As the sky opened to shower its blessings on the ground this season, it did so in excess in Mokwa and created a historic flood that has already claimed about 151 lives, displaced 3,018 persons, affected 503 households, injured 11 persons, and affected 3 bridges.
Days after the unfortunate flood incident, more casualty figures are still emerging. And more worrisome is that the cause of the flood is yet to be ascertained.
The government spokesman led the federal government delegation on a sympathy visit to the people and government of Niger State and assured the victims of government total support.
This is really a very sad situation, and Mr. President is really very saddened by it. So every activity that needs to be undertaken by government at the federal level is being done to collaborate with you, Your Excellency, to work with the community to ensure that succor, like I said earlier, comes to the way of all the people around that area.
We need a temporary camp where we can put people. We should not delay it. So they can create camps for them, and where support we can give the displaced communities, because they become displaced communities. so that we can see where we can meet their needs.
They all agreed that collaboration among the tiers of government and its relevant agencies will be strengthened in dealing with unforeseen emergencies like the current one in Mokwa. In Mina, Salihu Abdullahi Gwanara, NTA News.
A joint delegation from the Niger State Government and the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, has conducted an on-the-spot assessment of the flood in Mokwa local government area, where more than 100 lives were lost, with others still missing. This is as NEMA is set to distribute relief materials to the surviving flood victims. Fatima Aliyu will tell us more.
The people of Tifi Maza and Agwan Alsawa communities in Mokwa local government area of Niger State are still trying to come to terms with the level of devastation that befell the cosmopolitan town in the early hours of Wednesday.
We don't know where this flood came from because we don't have any dam close to us. Flood has taken away many families.
The flood took us on our way, and before we knew it, it has ravaged many lives and property.
The office, everything, sir. We lost all the instruments. We need the favor from government. Anything they can do for us, at least let them help.
Niger State Deputy Governor Yakubu Garba and the Director General of NEMA, Zubeida Umar Utold, the community spoke on measures to alleviate the suffering of the survivors.
The NEMA is here, and they came with some of the intervention. We are here to receive from them.
We've been assisting the community with search and rescue. And what we have confirmed is over 100 bodies. And this brings to bear the fact that we need to keep our waterways very clear. Our town planners need to also live up to expectation when it comes to that. Our first intervention so far has been being part of clearing the debris and also bringing out bodies. And furthermore, we've brought both food and non-food items, which we're about to hand over to the Deputy Governor right now.
In the meantime, prominent people of the community say a thorough investigation will be carried out to forestall a reoccurrence of such disaster. As at time of filing this report, death toll has risen to 151, 3,018 people displaced, most of whom are taking refuge in primary schools, while 2 bridges were washed away. Fatima Aliyu, NTA News.
An unfortunate incident there. We have a guest in the studio to speak more on federal government's effort, especially from the NEMA perspective. We have Dr. Onimode Abdullahi Bandele. Thank you very much for joining us. He is the Director of Planning, Research and Forecasting, National Emergency Management Agency. Thank you, Dr. Bandele, for joining us on Weekend Fire.
Thank you for having me, and good evening, viewers.
All right, we've seen the situation, not a pleasant one at all. But at this point, we've seen NEMA already step in to intervene following the president's directive. But tell us, what is the update Nigerians should know?
Thank you very much. When it happened, NEMA deployed staff of the Mina Operation Office to site immediately, including the Director of Search and Rescue. The team traveled overnight and they got there by 4 a.m. on the 29th. On the 30th, which was yesterday in the morning, equally the Director General led a team to Mokwa for assessment. And during the assessment, we went around the community paying condolence to the village head who his domain was very devastated. And from what we saw, most of the houses that were close to the waterways were washed away where these people lived. So the search and rescue effort continued. Even while we were there, 4 bodies were brought out of the debris. And as of this morning, additional 35 have been brought out, bringing the figure to what you display on the screen. It's really unfortunate. It's pathetic. Let me correct an impression. During your news, you said we're going to distribute. Those items have been distributed by 10 a.m. this morning. Every beneficiary has received what NEMA gave them. And like we said, it is still work in progress. The search and rescue team is still on ground, believing that in the next couple of days, we should be able to bring search and rescue effort to conclusion. But I must say that the people on ground are adhering to warnings not to go close to waterways. Like the DG said in her speech, the town planning board need to strengthen their responsibility, punish those who need to be punished, because from what we saw and from what you can see on the screen, the houses were very, very close to waterway.
Yes.
And we're believing that this will serve as a deterrent to some of us who kind of refuse to adhere to warnings.
Were they informed before now?
Yeah, as I speak to you, early in April, the DG wrote letters to state governors telling them areas that are likely to be impacted. But this one is just an unusual occurrence, because from the people we spoke with yesterday, they have never seen this happen in that community. People attributed it to maybe a tributary breaking its way into the town. But we know a day before the incident, there was a torrential rainfall. Even in Abuja here, it was heavy. And who knows, maybe the hydrological runoff became too heavy and the space provided became too small. And water will naturally want to find its way. It's an unfortunate one. It's very pathetic. And we pray God to repose the souls of those who have died. And those who are in the hospital, we are praying fervently so that they can recover and get back on their feet.
And we hope that, you know, victims, surviving victims will be given temporary solution as soon as possible.
As I speak to you, we went with tentages yesterday, which erection started immediately. I'm sure if you have reporters that will go on ground, they will tell you that these tents are there. The people are already there. The DG has made provision for supply of medicaments so that people who are injured can be taken care of. And those who are in camp, you know, this is rainy season, you have incidents of malaria, mosquito bite here and there. She has made provision for that. Like I said, it's an ongoing concern, and every hand is on deck to ensure that everybody that is affected gets succor from the federal government.
Yes, and our condolences to the families of the victims. Thank you very much, Dr. Onimode Bandele. Thank you for coming on Weekend File.
Thank you for having me, and have a great evening.
You too. All right, following the same development, President Bola Tinubu expresses deep concern over the severe flooding in Mokwa local government area of Niger State, with attendant loss of lives and the displacement of numerous families. In a statement by the Special Advisor on Information and Strategy, Bayo Onanuga, upon receiving the initial reports, the President had directed the immediate activation of the National Emergency Response Center with full briefing by NEMA on urgent humanitarian efforts. The President assures them that the government stands by all those affected and will continue to coordinate with the Niger State government to ensure a compassionate response. He also extends deep condolences over an accident involving members of the Kano State contingent who were returning from the recently concluded National Sports Festival in Ogun State. On behalf of the federal government, the President extends heartfelt condolences to the government and people of Kano State, families and loved ones, and those who died in the accident. Paying tribute to the accident victims for their dedication, President Tinubu says the greatest honor to accord them is to take steps to prevent future occurrences. In the same vein, Nigeria's First Lady Oluremi Tinubu expresses heartfelt condolences and sympathy to Niger State Governor Mohammed Umar Bago and the people of the state affected by the flooding incident, which occurred between Wednesday 28th and Thursday 29th of May 2025 in Mokwa, Tifumaza and Nwang Hausawa communities. In her condolence message, the First Lady describes the flooding, which led to loss of lives and property, as saddening. She prays that Almighty God gives the families, friends and loved ones of those affected the fortitude to bear this irreplaceable loss and grant the departed souls eternal rest and peace. Kano State government has announced a donation of 1 million naira to the families of 22 of the Kano State contingent who lost their lives on their way home from the just concluded National Sports Festival held in Abuja, Ogun State. The State Deputy Governor, Aminu Abdusalam, who made this known after taking brief from officials, also announced the donation of food items to the bereaved families as support for the immediate burial of the deceased. Aminu Umar reports.
They are heroes who have done the state proud, some of them gold medalists, but could not make it to Kano to present the medals. Their bodies were received by the family members who could not but shed tears. The State Deputy Governor, Aminu Abdusalam, was at the Aliko Dangote University Teaching Hospital, joined by the Secretary to the State Government and other officials to identify with the family members at this time of grief.
His Excellency, the Governor of the Kano State, and the entire government stand with the bereaved families and the state as a whole. Will continue to support them, support the bereaved families.
The Deputy Governor was also at Murtala Muhammad Specialist Hospital to sympathize with the injured ones and also announced government determination to settle their medical bills. It will be recalled that the vehicle conveying the athletes and officials had an accident at Dekatsalli, a few kilometers to Kano City. In Kano, Aminu Umar, NTA News.
In other news, the Coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Professor Mohammed Ali Pati, says the Tinubu administration is committed to leveraging the influence of religious organizations to improve health outcomes across Nigeria. Speaking during a visit by the Nigeria Interfaith Action Association in Abuja, Professor Pati emphasized the vital role faith-based organizations can play in driving awareness, trust, and demand for essential health services. He announced a new partnership with the association to effectively disseminate health messages.
The decision reflects not only our institutional respect for the ministry, but also a deep appreciation for the long-standing support and cooperation extended to us.
The minister also plans to use NIFA's work as a case study for the International Commission on Faith, Trust and Health as a model for faith-health collaboration worldwide. All right, we'll take another break, and when we come back, we'll begin a conversation on 2 years of the Tinubu administration, progress, prospects, and of course challenges. Stay tuned. Thank you for staying with us. 2 years into President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration, well, the spotlight often falls on executive decisions. Still behind the scenes, two other arms of government have been pivotal: the legislature and the judiciary. As the nation marks this milestone, questions emerge. How have these co-equal arms supported governance-driven reforms and shaped the Tinubu administration's journey so far? What roles have they played as partners in progress, and where do the cracks still lie? Let's hear from Ibrahim Dan Amidu.
Nation building is not just the job of one man. While the executive leads, the legislature and judiciary must steer, check and balance. 2 years into President Tinubu's administration, their roles as partners in progress are more critical than ever. The National Assembly has passed landmark legislations, from student loan reforms to constitutional amendments. But how well are these laws reshaping the lives of Nigerians? And how aligned are lawmakers with executive vision?
If you see a good policy that is coming up from the executive, it is not in your place to say that anything you must antagonize. Say all of us need kids that need student loan. Should the House come against them? The answer should be no. They should encourage them, and also look at the policy, what is implementation.
It's also good for us to be very truthful with ourselves. Yes, democracy is not just about building roads and bridges. It's about also giving people hope to a better life.
Meanwhile, the judiciary has walked a tightrope, From pre-election rulings to national security matters, the courts have influenced the pace and direction of governance, yet public trust wavers.
Oftentimes, I think people just have taken a pastime to ridicule the judiciary. But it's a very intrinsic technical aspect of governance that because you think something you didn't understand it does not mean that they didn't do the right thing.
People tend to judge Nigerian judiciary through the prism of electoral matters. And you know, election is very emotive issue. Somebody loses a case and he says, oh, the judiciary is corrupt, the judge must have been bribed, even when it is obvious that the person actually lost the election.
Still, the system must function as one. The effectiveness of governance relies on harmony, not just in principle, but in performance. In Abuja, I'm Ibrahim Dan Hamidu.
All right, thank you very much, Ibrahim, there for that report. And we have a guest in the studio to speak further on the 2 years assessment of President Tinubu's administration. We have Professor Abiodun Adeni. He's a professor of communication from Bayes University, Abuja. Thank you very much, Prof, for joining us on Weekend File.
Thank you very much. My pleasure.
All right. Let's just begin going by the report we've just seen. We saw this administration, when it came on board, talking about President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, he started with a series of bold reforms, policies to shape different aspects and sectors of the nation for prosperity. But you can have this thrive without that synergy between the three arms of government if these reforms must be driven. What's your take on your assessment if you look at the synergy so far?
Well, with respect to synergy, like the commentators out there said, it's been one of collaboration rather than confrontation. One of being partners, ready to synergize, trying to understand themselves, and of course, yes, it's a trinity, almost coordinate jurisdiction, but we have the executive often taking the lead in policy directions, while the judiciary mediates, and not just between these two arms, but in every other matter. In the last 2 years, there has been seamless. Their partnership has been seamless, and we have seen how it has led to the smooth processing of policies and policy directions. It might not matter really whether we agree with some of those policies, but because they have understanding, it probably might be okay for us to conclude that they have an elevated understanding, appreciation of the issues, much more than the rest of us, and of course in the interest of the citizens. And oftentimes when we see these three arms, working together like this, the suspicion is always that because of the trust deficit between the led, and the leaders in this country, the suspicion is often to say that something is fishy, or they are probably trying, to work together, to be self-serving. But again, we also know it may not necessarily be so. In the past, when we have seen confrontation, disagreement between the executive and the legislature, for instance, we also saw how things slowed down, even though in sections appreciated the progress, the kind of tension and contention that happened those times. But this may not often be good, for a democratic system that is in want of development, in want of policy implementation, and that is yearning, to meet the aspirations of the people. It's been so far so good, but overall we will still say that there are still so many things to be done to enhance the people's confidence, to enhance the credibility and integrity of the arms, especially the judiciary, which has largely come under criticism in the last couple of months, in the last couple of months. Okay. But it's not to say that they are not doing what they are supposed to do. We know how adjudication, how tricky it can be. But because it is a tricky sector, of course, we also need them, to be like Caesar's wife, be as much as possible to be as clean as possible, at least to the best of their ability, as the case could be.
Okay, and let's look at confidence, in the people and, of course, in governance, especially in the aspect of the 8 priority areas. And I'd like to pick on infrastructure. And just today, we saw the inauguration by the president of the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway, the Phase 1. What would be your assessment, rather, in the aspect of scoring this administration for infrastructure, which we're seeing the strides recorded so far?
Yeah, infrastructure is a key sector in any system, in any society, because it has a way of triggering development. It has domino effect over a lot of other sectors, either in the short and in the long term, And for this government to be focusing on it, more like what the last administration also did, is actually salutary, a welcome development, and we have seen instances of it, like the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway, and we also heard about, talks about the Sokoto-Badagry Expressway. Yeah. And in Abuja as well, we have seen the strides they have made in the last 2 years under the present minister, outstanding efforts, awesome contributions, at the level of opening new roads, providing utilities, providing facilities, and we all can see it. And that's what we keep talking about government. If there's performance and people can actually attest to it, government need little or no public relations or little or no publicity. The work will often speak for them. And that's what we're seeing in Abuja. And Abuja remains an exemplar of what the Tinubu administration has done, but beyond the ones that we can see. We also have to be mindful of the ones that we probably cannot see, the intangible ones, the human element populating the infrastructural spaces. How well are they being tended to? Are their needs met at the level of job, at the level of security, and other levels that are also very critical? But in terms of, the publicity we are getting with respect to some of these roads, and even beyond the roads, we'll talk about aviation as well. There was a report that you showed earlier in the health sector. So we are seeing action, we are seeing activities. These are very impressive things that the government has done, but they have 2 years again, to even go beyond what they have done and to be further, to be exemplary as well. The opportunity is there, the time is there, but they once more, they have to take the bull by the horn.
And talking about taking the bull by the horn, reforms that, reforms in the economic aspect were actually bold reforms taken. And we saw the need, rather, for long-term recovery, which was the basis of some of these reforms. But people want to see immediate response. But if we want to look at the recovery plan, going by the tax, expanding the tax-based system to enhance government revenue, unification of, forex, and all of that, would you say that the impact is yielding the necessary result desired?
Yeah, economic reform, can be equally complicated, because the economy, like Karl Marx told us many years ago, is a mainstay. It is an infrastructure on which other superstructure lay. So it's not been surprising, with the courage that the president showed, unifying the exchange rate, removing oil subsidy, and of course, reviewing the price of electricity. We have seen the domino effect it has on goods and services. Yes, the people felt it, and there was a clamor for cushion, which the government somewhat responded to. But 2 years down the line, it was really difficult in the early stages, but 2 years down the line, not that it is El Dorado yet, not that we can sing hallelujah yet, but there's a level of stability, a level of predictability, and that's what any economy actually needs. We are not seeing a free fall of the naira anymore. There's a stability, even though it's still not where we want to be. But of course, we can actually make appropriate predictions, and we are seeing foreign agencies, even local agencies, rating the government well in terms of making it stable and sustainable. What more should we expect? I think there are some other measures, maybe attitudinal measures, again, bordering on the soft, intangible aspect of it, what our approach is to public funds. We need some more level of transparency and accountability so that it can inspire followers, and followers can trust the government better. We have seen efforts in this regard with some apprehensions, with some prosecutions, but we need a lot more against the background of the deep-seated, nature of the malaise, a high-divided one, if we want, that we call corruption. If there is attitudinal reorientation, attitude towards public funds is better enhanced, like the president has also said, that he's not going to tolerate it. Yes, we need a lot more of these assurances. And of course, we can focus better on economic reform. Remembering that economic reform is an intangible, dependent on a lot of variables. And that human element, the human attitude, is one of those variables that can drive successful economic reform.
All right. Thank you very much, Professor Abiodun Adeni. It's just 2 years. We're still counting, keeping check on progress, and, of course, hoping for prospective and prosperous future ahead. Thank you very much for coming on Weekend File.
My pleasure.
All right. Let's take a break. We'll be back. Stay tuned. Glad to know you're there, and you're just right in time for Sports Update. Ayo Deji Makinde is set to give us all the gist. Ayo, I know there's a heated match going on now.
Oh, yes, and
it's almost done.
Oh, yes, it ended just seconds ago, and we'll start with our breaking news. It's official. Paris Saint-Germain are the champions of the UEFA Champions League after a 5-0 victory over Inter Milan in the match which ended some seconds ago at the Allianz Arena. So it will be a good one there for the champions from the French League. But let's come back and talk about the Super Eagles of Nigeria, who are also champions of the Unity Cup 2025, beating the Reggae Boys of Jamaica 5-4 on penalties after a 2-all scoreline in regulation time, with Cyril Dezers and Samuel Chukwueze on the score sheets for the Super Eagles. The tournament has been brought back this year for the first time in 2 decades, and Nigeria retained the title they won in 2004. Earlier on Wednesday, Nigeria beats Ghana in the semi-finals to progress through to the final. Let's talk some other news as well, because the head of the Civil Service of the Federation, Didi Wilson Jack, has reiterated continual support for sports development and public service after the 2024 FEPS Games in Port Harcourt. Wilson Jack gave the reassurance at the monthly walk and jog exercise of the Federation of Public Service Games, which held at the training pitch of the Moshood Abiola National Stadium, with many participants, including the Nigerian Television Authority.
Of the games, we feel the benefit of sports. It makes us strong, healthy, and we're good to go.
We are happy that we have her as the head of civil service of the Federation. It's significant. Significant in the sense that we have somebody who is so committed to the Federation, committed to sports.
It's good to work hard. We can never joke with our health. Health is wealth, and a healthy workforce will surely enhance productivity. This initiative is good. At our own level at NTA, I wish we can do it more regularly.
Now, the chairman of the National Sports Commission, Shehu Diko, has expressed condolences over the tragic road accident involving Kano State contingent to the recently concluded National Sports Festival in Ogun State. The unfortunate incident occurred in Kuru local government area of Kano State, claiming the lives of over 20 promising Nigerian athletes, officials, and support personnel. Shehu Diko says the commission is working with relevant authorities to provide necessary support and ensure that the memories and sacrifices of those who died are honored in a befitting manner. And just a quick reminder that PSG, Paris Saint-Germain, are the champions of Europe after a 5-0 victory over Inter Milan in the final of the UEFA Champions League. And that's your sports. It's back to Ruth.
Many thanks, Ayo Deji, for that. We missed it, right? You didn't miss the match, but I did.
Yeah.
All right, let's turn to other issues. The federal government welcomes Moody's Investors Services' latest upgrade of Nigeria's long-term foreign currency issuer rating with a stable outlook. This is a significant vote of confidence in the country's economic direction and ongoing reform agenda. In a statement, the government says it reflects growing international recognition of Nigeria's progress in stabilizing its macroeconomic environment, enhancing fiscal transparency, improving debt sustainability, and implementing market-oriented reforms under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's leadership. Reacting to the development, President Tinubu reaffirmed the administration's resolve to maintain prudent economic management while fostering inclusive growth, reflecting global confidence in Nigeria's future, and which represents a milestone in the administration's goal of restoring investors' trust, unlocking economic potential, and securing long-term prosperity, President Tinubu added. The death has been announced of Imam Abdul Wahab Abdul Rashid. He died this Saturday at the age of 89. Imam Abdul Wahab Abdul Rashid was the chief imam of Odode Idanre, Ondo State, for years before relocating back to Kwara State, his state of origin. He has been buried in Ilorin in line with Islamic injunction. He is survived by wife and children, among whom is Musbahuddin Wahab of the Nigerian Television Authority. May his soul rest in peace. All right, let's bring you weather update for tomorrow.
Welcome to Sunday's weather forecast. Thunderstorms with rains are expected to parts of Taraba, Kaduna, FCT, Nasarawa, and Niger, while morning thunderstorms are expected to the coastal cities of Cross River, Akwa Ibom, Rivers, and Bayelsa State. Other parts of the country will be mostly cloudy during the morning hours. As we go into the afternoon and evening hours, most parts of the northern region will experience thunderstorms with rains. This includes parts of Kebbi, Zamfara, Katsina, Kaduna, Kano, Bauchi, Gombe, Taraba, including parts of Plateau, the Federal Capital Territory, Nasarawa, Niger, and Kwara State, while isolated rains are expected to the southern region. Stand by for the temperature forecast. Thank you for watching.
And while you plan your day tomorrow, let's remind you, or rather inform you, that June 1st is a special day for parents. It is International Parents' Day, a day to recognize the vital role parents play in nurturing and caring for their children. It also serves as a reminder to appreciate the commitment and sacrifices parents make in their children's lives. By celebrating parents, the day contributes to strengthening families and communities. So how are you preparing to celebrate your parents tomorrow? Surprise visit with a bag of goodies accompanied by a bank alert, memorable hug? They need all of that and even more. Don't forget rather to do just that special thing for them tomorrow. And that's Weekend File. I'm Ruth Aguele.